Boy, I got money in the bank, gold in the safe, 30 in the clip, I got more in my waist. Done the whole shit, I can let it go to waste. Hold up, hold up. Boy, I got money in the bank, gold in the safe, 30 in the clip, I got more in my waist. Done the whole shit, I can let it go to waste.
This live stream may contain content that could be perceived as shocking or offensive, but it is presented solely for educational purposes. Viewer discretion is advised. We strive to adhere to community guidelines, and any potentially sensitive material is shared with the intent of fostering understanding and learning.
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy, Atypical Security Guard, coming to you today with a bit of information. Apparently, there was a shooting that's involving what is being described as an off-duty security guard. Apparently, this situation involved at least 2, if not 3 or more young teenagers, one 17-year-old teenager losing his life. I'm going to go to some of the information here that I have. An off-duty armed security guard shot and killed 17-year-old. Please forgive me if I butcher this young man's name. Hazrat Ali Rohani, who was trying to exchange an airsoft gun to a Renton sporting goods store on Wednesday evening, according to police. The 51-year-old man shot the boy, who was with 2 other teens and was walking around the Big 5 sporting goods store in a strip mall on Grady Way, according to court documents released on Friday. He was booked in the King County Jail on investigation of second-degree murder. A charging decision from prosecutors is expected June 10th, which I believe is probably tomorrow. We're going to go to the video. The video credit is coming out of King 5 Seattle. All rights reserved. I have put the link to the video in the description. I'm utilizing this under fair use. Let's go to the story.
An off-duty security guard who shot and killed a Renton teenager told investigators that he thought he was stopping a robbery. New court documents reveal a different story tonight. King 5 Sebastian Robertson joining us at 5 now with what we're learning about this shooting. Sebastian.
Hi, Joyce. That deadly confrontation happened outside this Big 5 in Renton. What we see in court documents is 2 different sides to the same story.
These are the moments after a 17-year-old boy was shot and killed outside a Renton Big 5. The suspected shooter, a 51-year-old man, remains in custody and will likely face a murder charge.
I mean, it's justice, because that's disappointing, you know, because he was just a kid too, right? He was only 17.
Court documents say the alleged shooter, an off-duty and armed security guard, told investigators he saw a pistol and believed the teens were going to commit an armed robbery. Says that when he pulled out his weapon, one of the teens reached for his waistband.
The 51-year-old produced a weapon and he shot and killed one of the 17-year-olds.
We just started hearing like shouting, and then after the shouting, you just heard gunfire. It was crazy.
Investigators in those same documents say surveillance footage obtained by investigators contradicts the statements made by the alleged shooter during the interview. They say it shows the teens tossing the airsoft pistols to the ground and telling the suspect numerous times that the pistol was not real. Teens telling investigators they were going to the sporting goods store to return the pistol.
And Joyce, the suspect, that 51-year-old off-duty armed security guard, is in the King County Jail tonight. He's held on $2 million bail.
This is such a tragic story, Sebastian. There was a pretty large police response almost immediately, wasn't there?
Yeah, the King County Sheriff's Department says that just by complete chance, deputies were actually doing some sort of training exercise. Some deputies were in the very parking lot and were on scene moments later and were able to take the suspected shooter into custody and immediately start working the crime scene. Joyce.
Sebastian Robertson reporting in Renton.
Sorry about that. My mic was muted. So there you have it. That's the information pertaining to the situation. You know, anytime that there's an officer involved shooting, let's just say that, okay, generally on the police side is what we're coming to and we're reporting on. In this situation, you do have someone working in the security sector. Oftentimes, whenever there is an officer involved shooting, people within the industry, they tend to make excuses. I don't think that we should rush to judgment and condemn anybody for situations that they're involved in. God knows I could find myself in this very situation. But I do find it interesting how a lot of times, you know, current law enforcement officers, former law enforcement officers will find ways to justify why this should be a justifiable situation. You just heard in the story here, there's police officers in the parking lot. There's literally cops on the scene performing exercises, doing training. I would have to assume anyone that's situationally aware enough to notice teenagers potentially walking into a big five with firearms probably picked up on the fact that there are law enforcement officers in the area. You have the opportunity to turn this situation over to the people that should be handling it. The second thing, before I get into my takeaways, and I have 5 takeaways here for anybody that's watching or on this platform, is that I really have a problem with the fact that they're painting this as a security guard shooting. There's no reason to say the phrase off-duty security guard. We're told all the time, in every capacity, in every instance of our life, of our existence, that we are not law enforcement. You're just a security guard. Nothing more, nothing less. So if that's true, then the fact that this person is not at work does not have any bearing on the fact that he was involved in this shooting. His being a security guard had nothing to do with this situation. He's not working in a security capacity. He's not in uniform. He's not employed by these people. This is a guy. This is a random guy, right? If any other random guy would have been in this situation, would have found himself to have done the exact same thing, they would not say a plumber from South Seattle was involved in a shooting. They would say his name, Steve Johnson, was involved in a shooting. There is such an animosity and such a negative stigma around private security that they are literally looking for ways to put, I don't want to say poor behavior, but definitely unhinged behavior, wrong actions, wrong behavior. For political purposes, they want to hang that on private security. I really have a negative taste in my mouth over the fact that they're painting this as a security guard shooting. That person works as a security guard. He was not working in his capacity when he decided to do this stupid act. So let's get to my reaction and my top 5 takeaways. Guys, what can be said at this point that hasn't already been said? It seems like every week I'm coming on here and making a video about a police officer that has done some dumb shit or a private security guard that has done some dumb shit. I wish that my platform, I wish that my channel, I wish that my reach was a lot bigger and a lot more broad, because I really do think that if more people would simply hear these conversations, I don't expect everyone to listen to me, to take me at my word at face value and see my outlook or the way that I think about things as being the only way to think about it. But what I will tell you is that my outlook, my view, the things that I'm going to tell you are typically things that are going to keep you out of trouble. At the end of the day, whether you agree with it or not, I'm coming from a place of trying to keep you from finding yourself in this very situation. I think that has some merit. Okay, so I'm going to go over my 5 things here. I hope that it resonates. Number 5 is that any intervention, it comes with consequences. Most people in private security, the guys that I know, the guys that I work with, the people that I see on message boards, those people who comment on my videos, they will always say the same thing. I can't just stand by. I'm not built that way. Right? I can't just stand by and watch things happen. I'm not the kind of person that is just going to let someone else get hurt or harmed. I'm just not built that way. There is a consequence to your inaction. Let's just say that in this situation, these 3 teenagers were going to rob that store. I'm going to say something that is going to sound very callous. It's going to sound very unempathetic. That store has every opportunity to hire security. That store has every opportunity to have armed security on the premises. That store, if they wanted to, could have people working in that location, employees, be armed for their own protection. You know what? Most people, because of their political ideology, either A, don't believe in hiring armed security, B, are absolutely against their employees protecting themselves, or C, have some other agenda that precludes the everyday average citizen from going into that location and being armed. The good old gun-free zone signs. And at the end of the day, as much as I hate to say this, as much as I know it's going to come off as me being insensitive, you get what you vote for. You want to have a store and not have armed security? You want to have a store where your mandate and your thought process is, we're in Seattle, we believe that the oppressed, we believe that the homeless, we believe that people that are addicted to drugs or addicted to a certain lifestyle, they should not be chastised, they should not be held accountable. At the end of the day, if they want to come in and steal, just let them take it. I hear that in Portland. I see that in Seattle. And so you, as the off-duty security guard, as they like to say it, you have a choice. You can intervene and be the person that saves the day, and maybe it works out in your favor, or maybe you're like this guy and you're sitting in jail awaiting a trial where you're more than likely going to be found guilty, and now the entirety of the rest of your life is spent in prison. For what? For who? For the people that advocate for you to not even be able to work as an armed security guard? To protect the people that will vote to remove your right to bear arms? The people that feel that the police that are in the very parking lot should be defunded? Yes, there is a consequence to you not stepping in and saving the day. There's also a consequence to you taking the action that you took. And that's what is most often not thought about. Speaking of cops, you're not a cop. I don't know how many times we have to say this to private security guards. You're not a police officer. Now, I don't say that to you or to myself or to anybody else to downplay what it is that we do. We serve a purpose. We serve a very vital role. But the difference is that you do not have the protection of a system behind you. Everything that this private security guard is alleged to have said, his reasoning, his thought process, why he decided to get involved, why he did what he did, more than likely, 9 times out of 10, historically, anecdotally, works if you're a law enforcement officer. We do not get that benefit. And those of you who refuse to understand this and refuse to see this for what it is, whether you're working in security, whether you're off-duty security, whether you're the everyday average person in an EDC environment, you do not get to lean on the issues that law enforcement routinely is able to lean on in order to get themselves out of a situation like this. You're not a cop. And since you're not a cop, that means that number 3, your judgment will come down to an objective view versus a subjective view. A police officer can subjectively say, I feared for my life in this situation. I feared for the life of a third party. I didn't know what was going to happen. I was worried. I was concerned. This, that, and the third. That subjective view is a literal blanket that can cover almost every decision that they make, either on duty or off. Security guards, when you're on duty, security guards, when you're off duty, the everyday average person, it has to be reasonably objective. And the story is saying that, and I want to make this very clear. The story in terms of the documents that are being provided, completely different than the initial story that came out. The initial story comes out that this person thought these people were going to rob the store. He engages them. There's some sort of struggle and someone reaches for their waistband. The information that's come out allegedly in the documents in this story is saying that this person engages these kids and they tell him these are not real firearms. They're not real. And it says that they even throw the guns down on the ground. They're not real. We're here to return these. And there's still a shot that is fired. And that leads me to number 2, implicit bias. So many times on the law enforcement side, in the EDC side, people are allowing their internal feelings, their political feelings, their internal biases against certain people, certain races, certain cultures. You're allowing that to bleed over into how you go about performing your duty, how you view the tactics of a situation, how you view that engagement. That implicit bias is coloring, no pun intended, your viewpoint of the situation on how you see what this person is doing, what they're telling you, how they're acting. It's all tipping that scale, and it's tipping that scale as to whether or not you're going to pull that trigger or not. Guys, I was in this very same situation. I don't come on here. Let me remove this. I don't come on here and have this conversation without having firsthand experience. I was working in a location. I wish that I still had the picture. I don't. Where a young black man walks into a store carrying what looks like a 3D printed firearm in his right hand. He's carrying it in his right hand and he has a 30-round magazine attached. And I recognize the 30-round drum magazine because I own one. Okay. And so I see this person and this is in a location where, you know, we've had multiple mass shootings throughout the country at this point in time. And this person walks in. It's on a Sunday. It's a busy day. It's sunny. There's people everywhere. And my first thought is this guy is here to either rob the store or shoot the place up. But the one thing that I had to remind myself was that you can't take that round back. The second you pull this trigger, the second you set these wheels in motion, you can't stop them. So you have to be sure. I don't want to go down the road of everything that happened in this situation, but ultimately the gun that this person was carrying, it ended up being fake. The magazine was real, but the gun was fake. I've had 3 situations over the past year where someone has pulled a firearm on me. 2 of those firearms, not counting this one, were replica or fake firearms. One was real. And in each one of those situations, I could have easily subjectively articulated why I took a shot at each one of those 3 people. But the objective reality of me working in private security and the situations surrounding 2 of those people being homeless, mentally ill, drug addicted, I'm not sure how that would have gone. I don't know that I would have been cleared. I don't know that that would have worked out in my favor. And the fact that I have that little seed of doubt, it gives me an extra half a second to think about what I'm going to do. If I'm going to engage that threat, if I'm going to take that shot, if I'm going to try and back away and find cover. A lot of people hear that and tactically say, you are putting yourself in a situation where one day it's going to bite you in the ass. That might happen. That's part of the risk that comes with working in our industry. But what I can't do in good conscience and in good faith is simply put myself out there and operate in a way that once that round is sent, I can't bring it back. And now I'm having to answer for that in court. All of that is coming from the standpoint of being at work. If I'm off the clock, if I'm not working for a location, I'm not being paid to engage that threat and deal with that person, they're of no threat to me or my family or the people in my immediate circle. You're out of your fucking mind if you think I'm willing to do that. You have to be aware of your implicit bias that goes not just for the people that you're dealing with, but the implicit bias in your head that you can operate like this. That is another aspect of implicit bias, that security guards, law enforcement officers, the everyday person has this thought in their head that they're going to be John fucking Wick and intervene in a situation that has zero to do with you at that moment, and that you're not going to have to face the consequences for it. Number one is going to be something that I can't state enough. Be very, very careful who you guys are following on social media. You can follow these forward operators. You can follow these pro 2A, don't tread on me, never will I be infringed kind of guys who tout the motto, fuck around and find out. And you can believe in that. You can follow it. You can believe in it. You can cheer it all you want. You put yourself in a situation like this and there's no one coming to save you. We talk about being your own first responder, how if you find yourself in a situation where something happens and you have to be the person to put down that threat, that no one is coming to save you. You are your own first responder. Guys, your role as a first responder comes with your protecting yourself. Be careful who you're following. Be careful who you're looking up to. Be careful who you're getting information from. If you're listening to people that are current law enforcement, former law enforcement, and they're giving you advice from a law enforcement perspective, if you're not a cop, you can't take that. You can't. Because the response to you doing something and them doing something is not going to be the same. I'm not saying that a police officer, former or current, is not giving you sound advice, but the advice that they're giving you is coming from a law enforcement standpoint. You're not a cop. So whatever actions you take, whatever things you do, however you address these situations, you're not going to get the same benefit of the doubt. This is not to bash law enforcement. I'm just telling you the truth. We don't have that luxury. So be very, very aware of where you're getting your information, who you're following, and what types of engagement you're thinking that you can involve yourself in terms of that. Be very, very careful of that. All right. I'm going to look at your comments real quick here, see if there's any thoughts that I need to address. Somebody gave me a $10 super chat. Let's see what we got here. Advancing Security says, thanks for helping the people with this discussion. As a civilian with an armed security guard license, I say, if you see something, say something, as most of us are very undertrained. Advancing Security, I want to thank you so much for giving me a $10 super chat. I appreciate you with the kind words of what we're doing here. The goal is to help educate people. All I want to do ultimately is help people stay out of trouble. We have a great industry in private security. If you play your cards right, if you find the right opportunity, you can make good money. This can actually be a good career for a lot of people, but we're going to mess it up. We continue to put ourselves in a bad light, find ourselves in bad situations, and someone needs to speak out about it. Okay. All right. Advocating Security also says, mind your business unless you have all the facts, and you should just call 911, even if you are carrying. Absolutely. PBE says doing something and doing nothing is actually bad for both security and police. I agree with you, PBE. PBE is a big advocate of, let's say, hands-on involvement, but even he would tell you that he has come very close to paying a very, very steep price for that. Very, very steep price for that, right? Samuel says, it's true, Tibbs, if money in Portland, you can still, lots of money in Portland. Absolutely, yes. Let's see what Stephen Dodd says. Hi, what do you think about Donald Trump getting back in power again as the U.S. president? That has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're going to stay on the topic. PBE says, now, if he's off duty, you are a security guard doing cop shit, and his actions did not agree with the evidence. He jumped the gun too soon without the facts of a deadly threat, public opinion, and the law. Very important. Puppet Master says, observe and report, and says, depending on the state and his license, he may not, should have even been carrying. Very, very important. Guys, look, I'm giving you my opinion on this. I'm giving you my thoughts. I want to know yours. What do you think about this? Do you agree with the security guard? Do you agree with the fact that they're actually even sharing the fact that he was a security guard, seeing as how he's working off duty and not on any sort of payroll? Warden says, I had a video of an armed security guard shooting that was caught on surveillance cam on the Active Self-Protection channel. I wanted to share it for use, an educational tool for us today. Absolutely. You can definitely send that to me. You can put a link right here. I will copy that link and then do a breakdown on that. I'd be more than happy to do that for you, bud. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Please like, share, subscribe, let people know about our platform, our channel, what we are doing here to help advance the industry. Guys, please, I'm going to go through these 5 areas that I want you guys to think about. Number 5, intervention comes with consequences. Please understand that. Doing nothing and doing something, both of those have consequences, some of them unintended that you won't even think about. Okay. Number 4, please know that you are not a cop. Do not get yourself in a bad situation. Okay. Number 3, judgment will be based on objective versus subjective view. Since you're not a police officer, you're going to get the objective view. You're not going to get the subjective. You don't get to lean on, I feared for my life. I was worried about this. I was worried about that. It's not going to work that way for us. Okay. Number 2, please be aware of your implicit bias. Kind of check yourself. Are you looking at people from a prejudiced view? Are you seeing their actions, what they're doing, how they're carrying themselves? Are you filtering that through some of your political ideology, some of maybe your own prejudices? Be very, very careful of that. And speaking of being careful, be careful with whom you follow. Guys, if you're following forward operators, military personnel, law enforcement, they operate under different standards. They have different standards in terms of what they can do and what they can get away with. The everyday average person, including private security, does not have that benefit. Okay, let me see what I got here. Warden said that he's going to post this. I do not see the link. Warden, if you try and put a link in my stuff here, more than likely it's going to get blocked as spam. I'm going to send you my email address. Stand by. So here's my email address. Okay, I'm going to put it on the big screen right here. Send it to my email address. I will pull it up. I will look at it, and then I'll do a video breakdown. If it's on active self-protection and it's dealing with private security, more than likely I've already actually talked about it. But definitely send it to me. Let me see what it says. Okay. Yeah, it says it was blocked. Yeah, that I have a blocker on here for spam and trolls. So please send it to me at this email address, and I'll take a look at it. All right. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I will talk to you on the next stream. Maybe the next stream will be about the video that Warden's going to be sending us. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Check out bonesandbrewsecuritygear.com. Again, that's bonesandbrewsecuritygear.com for all your security-based t-shirts, security-based morale patches, everything you need. Somebody says, where can I send 500? What? You can send me 500 on the super chat. I'm gonna give you 1 minute and see if you send me $500 on the super chat. It'll go right through. Let's see if this guy's serious or if he's just talking shit. Let's see if he's trolling. We'll give him a couple minutes here. Let's see. PBE says I'm buying the Trump shirt. We're gonna see if this dude is serious or if he's just talking cap. He says, where can I send 500? We're gonna see if he sends it on the super chat. Yeah. I think he's capping. Yeah, he says I'm trolling. That's what I thought. All right. We're going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. Y'all be safe. Have a great night.
Boy, I got money in